For everyone joining, my name is Alessandra. I am the Project and Communication Officer at ECSA. ECSA is the European Composer and Songwriter Alliance. We are an alliance that represents composers and songwriters all over Europe. We have about 60 member organizations that are organizations of composers and songwriters. And we represent and defend the rights of composers and songwriters at national, international, and European level. Today we are organizing this Capacity Triangle webinar, the intersection between music and tech. This webinar is actually organized by ECSA with the support of the Creative Europe program, which is the European Commission framework program for culture and audiovisual in general. And yeah, we're very, very excited about this. I'll wait a couple more minutes. In the meantime, some housekeeping things. For everyone joining, we would love for you to just tell us where you're joining from, who you are. Please use the chat to tell us this information. The chat is in your sidebar at the bottom. And then throughout the webinar, you will be able to ask some questions to our moderator, Helienne, or to all our panelists. Use the Q&A box to ask all your questions, please. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to all of you our moderator for today, Helienne Lindvall. Helienne is an award-winning professional songwriter, musician, columnist. She's chair of the Songwriter Committee at the Ivors Academy and also board director. She's also the writer behind the Guardian music industry columns Behind the Music and Plugged In, and the former head of business and songwriter relations for song data management platform Oddly. Thank you so much, Helienne, for agreeing to moderate this panel today. I will just hand it over to you and we can start.
Thank you, Alessandra. Yeah, so I want to kind of dive right in with this. So basically, the reason that we're having this conversation is normally with music and tech, a lot of the conversation is usually focused on just the artist. And since ECSA is an organization for composers and songwriters, we wanted to explore what other avenues there are, in particular for people who work as composers and songwriters. So we have an amazing panel here. So we're going to start off with everyone explaining a little bit about their particular platform. And then we're going to have a discussion about where we are at the moment, what's been happening during the pandemic, if things have changed, all different things. And then we'll open for questions at the end, as Alessandra said. And if you can put those questions in the Q&A, that'd be great, because that makes it really easy for me to access them as we can go on. So I'm gonna introduce everyone one by one, and then let them explain a little bit about what they do to start off with. So going around my particular screen, I'm gonna start with Josh. And Josh, now I'm gonna find your so Josh is from Green Mountain Lodge, and Josh, to start off with, what does Green Mountain Lodge do? What is your?
Well, it's more of a philosophy, I guess, to the point that I feel like after years of working in music, we just get trapped in our day-to-day, and in some cases, it's really nice to get into a space where you can get some fresh air and breathe and think a little bit differently. And in particular, kind of following a career working in-house at like major firms, being able to work with the independent community again was something that I was really seeking. And in particular, in doing so, offering the type of support in strategy that bigger firms work with when it comes to vision and mission and goal planning, and how you're able to put together an entrepreneurial business for yourself that can sustain in today's marketplace was, the main focus of what I was doing. So the idea is like, come out to the lodge, let's have something to eat, let's go for a walk in the woods, and kind of, find your path forward. So that's our main focus.
Great. And Josh is based in Denmark, for anybody who is in Denmark and want to see Josh physically at some point. We're going to continue on to Linda Portnoff, who's in my home country, my country of birth. I believe you're in Sweden, aren't you? Yep. Who's the founder and CEO of Tangy Market, an investment and trading app for music for from songwriters and artists. So we actually have some really short presentations that each one is gonna make. So you're gonna show us what Tangy Market is, Linda.
Yes, just let me first say how exciting to be here. Thank you, organizers, for having me. It's great to see so many people interested in getting a seat at the table for the next revolution of alternative asset financing. I'm the founder of Tangy Market, which is a Swedish startup in the intersection of music and fintech. And we provide a financing solution for songwriters. I'm a songwriter myself. I played the drums in my band Stellar Rocket, but I also ended up getting a PhD in business administration, management control. So coming from a background of both music and business, we can go to the next slide and maybe just let me share some crazy numbers. We see that the music industry has a great turnover, but in a blockbuster economy, as we all know, the winner takes it all. And what about trying to create a more sustainable future together? That's what we want to do. So on the next slide, what you see there is the foundation for why we started this, because we believe that everyone should be able to tap into this, gold rush that we're seeing now when a few actors are buying rights at crazy numbers. But most of all, we want you, the creators, to really be in control of both your economy and your music. And we also believe that music is valued too low today. So in the next slide, if you can please change, you see what we have developed. It's an app, which is a marketplace where you can browse for music that you want to buy into. And when you do that, that money goes directly to the songwriter behind the song or the songwriters. So it's like a stock market for music almost, where fans and anyone is invited to take part and support their favorite music. And that's it. And maybe if you go to the last slide, right now we launched just about 2 months ago, and we're still in this closed environment, but we're here for you. So if you want to get your music on the platform, please reach out to me. You can go to our website and you can connect with us there, or you can just email me at Linda@Tangy Market. And hopefully we can work together for a more sustainable music industry.
Great. Thank you so much, Linda. We definitely we want a more sustainable music industry, and we all think that music is valued way too low. But you definitely have an agreement from all the members of ECSA with that. Justin, I know Justin from way back, because we used to be signed to the same publisher and worked together. Justin was over in London doing some co-writing. Well, I'm not gonna date us both, but it was a while back. Justin is an amazing songwriter and composer, and is Canadian but based in LA. And MDIIO is a really interesting, another interesting platform for songwriters. So do you want to share a quick slide presentation as well, Justin?
Sure. Yeah, I think it was back in 1999 We collaborated. It might have been that long ago, actually, I think.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah, like 2020.
It was crazy. It was crazy because I was only 14 and you were only probably like 12, which is crazy, you know. Anyway, so nice to meet everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Greatly appreciated. I feel lucky to be with an esteemed group of people like this. So, hello everybody. My name is Justin. I'll give you a very, very brief introduction. I am primarily a songwriter and a record producer, and I have gotten myself into the tech business as a tech entrepreneur, trying to build a platform to make songwriter lives better. I will do a quick screen share. I don't have as fancy of a presentation as Linda. By the way, excellent timing, especially considering NFTs are a thing. This is like really, you nailed that one, Linda. Congratulations. Oh, I need to be able to share my screen, Helienne.
Oh, that would be Alessandra.
Alessandra, if I can share my screen, that'd be great.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay, perfect. I will, can everybody see this okay?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna make this super duper fast. As I start this, I'm just gonna explain to you guys that MDIIO.com, MDIIO stands for Music Data Intelligence In and Out. If you go to MDIIO.com and sign up, we have given it to you guys for free. Anybody that's on this call can use it absolutely for free. Just use the promo code COMPOSER, either all lowercase, all uppercase, or just uppercase C, composer. Really simple. You upload your songs, you track all of your information, you track all of your, you enter all of your metadata, you track your collaborators, your lyrics, all of the information related to the song. So every time you pitch that song, we actually track the activity of of that music. So there's actually 3 components, or 4 components rather, to what we're doing at MDIIO. The main one that I'll talk about, because I do want to keep it really super fast, is you can see here in notifications, we are probably 15 times a week uploading real live projects that our community, you guys, can pitch to and submit your music to for real life placements. So for example, this is one that literally went up 7 minutes ago, and you will get notified in your inbox saying, hey, this new opportunity is available. You know, looking for, here's all of the various information. Usually it adds, in this case, there is no fee value to it, but in most cases there is a fee value. So you could see, for example, major Canadian company, they are looking for, here the value is about $46,500. So anyway, and you really simply, you pitch to a project, you find the songs, and you submit them accordingly. I'm just trying to get over this super duper fast. If your music is uploaded to MDIIO, it automatically, if you choose, can opt into an additional platform that we have called Hyper Audio, which allows music supervisors or anybody looking to find your music to come in and search. Imagine like adding your music to a database of licensable music. It is our goal to generate revenue for you and to create real life opportunities in real time. So again, like I said, we have about 15 projects a week that get posted, and you can submit to any one of those. And again, as I said, it's a great way to find new collaborators. In addition to that, we actually have this weekend our first MDIIO XO, what we're calling Global Songwriting Camp, where we have songwriters from all over the world coming, meeting online on Zoom to collaborate, and we drop into every single room major hit songwriters to actually collaborate with you guys. People that have worked with Beyonce, people that have worked with BTS, people that have worked with, I'll be in there. You know, I've worked, especially in Europe, I'm trying to think, in Germany, I worked with a group called the Kelly Family and another artist named Leslie Cleo. That's my German relationships. I've worked with a lot of Swedish songwriters as well. So dropping in real successful songwriters to help you get better and improve what you do. And there's a lot of other stuff, but we'll keep it at that for now. I'm going to put my email in the chat, so feel free to reach out to me directly, and we can pick up the conversation together. How's that? Was that okay?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Everyone is really good, and what is fantastic is that it's really clear that, you know, both MDIIO and Tangy Market are both really, really useful for songwriters and composers in particular. And you kind of touched on the whole metadata thing, and we're going to talk about that later as well, because that's a bit of my nerdy passion. Carlotta, your platform is also in particular very useful in order to get all the information in place, right?
Yes, indeed, Helienne, but kind of different kind of information. So I'm glad that I'm presenting last because it's going to make sense. The kind of improving the collaborative experience between admin and data and other amazing platform like the previous one. So my name is Carlotta Ninni and I'm the CEO of the Creative Passport. We are a not-for-profit organization founded by British artist Imogen Heap, and we're currently developing a digital identity. And next slide. So what is the Creative Passport? The Creative Passport is a digital identity for music makers where they can access, update, and manage information about themselves, their work, and their career, and share it with integrated services and third-party services. Clearly, with music makers, it's quite an inclusive term because we want to offer a digital identity not only to composers and songwriters, but also to artists, session musicians, producers, audio engineers. So when I speak about music makers, it's all the above and beyond. So obviously, next slide. Why do we need a place to put all this information? Over the years, also with our founder experience, we just realized that lots of music services, both because of new technologies such as blockchain technology, or just, other kind of services of really focusing on music licensing and trying to make other kind of monetization around the assets, around the works and around the tracks, were just popping up. And it was quite hard to keep up with. And obviously, as many services there are, and also as many representatives there are, and with representatives speaking about publishers, record label, different collection societies and PROs, there is a lot of time spent on just what is called music admin, whether is updating your biography in different places, whether is making sure that your government identity or identifiers are linked to your works, as well as just sharing information about yourself. And the actual act of signing up to new services, you need to type down your information over and over and over again. So obviously, this kind of issue link also to the fact that there is not really a place that offers the artist verified and artist authored information about the artistic persona and about the kind of skills, if you like, or interest, or people you collaborated with. So ultimately, out of our community of music makers that we organized lots of workshops all over the world in the past years as part of the Mycelia World Tour, because Imogen was on tour and we just took the chance to just speak with local music makers. And the big question was, where are you found online? If you Google yourself, it's really kind of hard to find a place that is not Music Brains or, it's kind of also other metadata provider, but then ultimately the information is not verified. And so that is kind of what we really focused and wanted to answer. We want to offer a platform in which music makers can put the information and personal information about themselves. They can just share information with integrated music services and pretty much save a lot of time, as well as being business ready and being ready to be found. So this is kind of what we really want to achieve with the Creative Passport. Next slide. These are the kind of information that we currently have in the app. So we've got different data categories, and including profile info, that is the artistic name, biography, skills, different roles, by different interest, inspiration, favorite music makers, so on and so on. Then we've got the ID and identifiers section, that we've got industry identifiers specifically for this kind of publishing industry, IPI, and then obviously ISNI, as well as other proprietary identifier used by different industry players. Then we've got a section with representative and contacts in which people can put their current and past labels, publishers, lawyers, agents, it's like a press contacts, literally all the people that needs to be contacted potentially to also pursue for licensing reasons. Official links, pretty much self-explanatory. And also, not right now, but we're working in integrating and adding further data categories such as credits, collaboration, live performances, awards, and brands you work with, and potentially integrating with other third-party music services, allowing music makers just to retrieve information from these third-party music services. That could be an integration with a PRO. You could actually grab your catalog information that PRS versus ASCAP versus all sorts of PROs specifically in the publishing industry, and information that they might have about you. And next slide, please. Our ultimate vision is, again, we want to become the de facto artist-related information from the industry. We want to offer music makers one login so that the moment you need to sign up either to a collection society or to a new third-party music service, you can use your Creative Passport credential and you have verified most of the information that they need. So it would be a couple of clicks versus typing down information over again. Keeping your information up to date, meaning, again, you change your biography, you change something about your personal information, with a click of a button, all the services integrated will receive the information rather than going over and over and over again and doing it manually. Discover and be discovered, because obviously having so much in-depth information and personal information that are managed through the Creative Passport, we are building a research portal that allows music makers to find themselves, or potentially also brands and other businesses to find the right person, whether it's for a collaboration or whether it's for an advertising campaign. And the real difference is that the information that we deal with is not really asset related. We're not speaking about information about song. It's about finding the right person for the right collaboration, the right brand. So it's quite human related. So you can find a person that is in a specific age, a specific gender, based in a specific place in the world, therefore that can write in certain languages with specific skills or interests, literally you name it. As long as the music makers decided to make that information public about themselves, then it will be able to be searchable. Next slide, please. Right now, we have launched our open beta back in December, and we are going on and steady with development. And we are in conversation with many music services with what regards integration. But then obviously, the kind of call to action and something that we are inviting music makers to help us is that all the time, so when speaking about integration, music services or PROs or labels, they're like, how many users do you have? And so we really need a specific and, kind of as big as possible numbers of users to become relevant, and going and knock Spotify's doors and saying, look, we've got all this information about these amazing music makers, these amazing songwriters. You can really improve and kind of update the kind of service and maybe link these kind of public profiles and this information to the various biography or the hyperlinks, for instance, that they have got currently in their service, or providing hyperlinks in the credits section, just to, again, increase the visibility of the people that most of the times are behind the backstage, so specifically songwriters, composers, producers, and session musicians. And we do have also map that shows for the users who decided to opt in where the users are. And we've got more than 1,000 users in more than 88 countries. That, considering that since we are not for profit, our kind of biggest marketing tool is word of mouth. we managed to arrive, thanks to the music makers community, from Iran to Philippines, and literally all over the world, and not only in Europe, and it was quite exciting. And obviously the app is free to use, something that is really important for us, and we're working so hard is to keep it free for music makers, because we do think that it's your own right to be able to manage your own information, and obviously making it available for the industry. And next slide. Obviously, as I said before, this is clearly a PDF that we have created, a presentation that we have created specifically for music makers audience. Please share the word, go and visit on creativepassport.net, or just sign up, as it's free, at app.creativepassport.net if you want to join our Discord community as well, because all the development is pretty much community based. So it's really important to hear your voices and understand what we need to do better, or the next feature to develop. And yes, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlotta. So to kind of continue that conversation, with all of these things, there are so many different platforms, and there was a few, both Justin and Carlotta talking about metadata and where to put your, put your information, and where do you put your focus. And Josh, as a consultant, I mean, there's so many things out there, and how would one juggle as a composer and as a songwriter? It's hard to kind of feel like you can both do your work and compose and songwrite, and at the same time have enough time for this. What would your advice be, or how do you see, like, where should composers and songwriters focus their time?
Wow. That's a loaded question to open with. I think it's a very interesting thing, right? If you would have asked 15 months ago, the answer would be very different, right? I think a lot of the marketplace sort of had to figure out what type of composer or songwriter they wanted to be. And in some cases, there are people that are like, look, I don't want to be a business myself. I just want to be the art. And then there's a whole nother slate of people that said, being the art alone leaves me in dark corners where I feel like I can't claw my way out. And so the reality is, like, I find it difficult today, either as an artist or as a songwriter or composer, if you don't own your own entrepreneurial spirit in some capacity, right? Like the reason most of you guys are, I can't see all your faces, but I can see our panelists on the thing, but the reason all you guys are here is because you're trying to garner this type of information and bring this into your system so that you can utilize that to strategize your own operation. And this isn't about strategizing how you write a better song. This is about strategizing your business. And the reality is like, over the last 14 months, a bunch of really amazing songwriters and composers have become digital entrepreneurs and tech entrepreneurs and have started building platforms. Like, we see 3 examples here. Obviously, like Carlotta, they've been running for a bit longer. Justin's project's been running for a bit longer, but I know tons of songwriters that have built their own platforms, right? There's lots of people creating new things. So when you say, like, where do I look? One of the real privileges, I guess, would be the fact that there are tons of solutions that are out there today to help you try and navigate this landscape. You don't have to do it alone. In the past, it was you had to go to your publisher and have your publisher help you navigate this space. Now it's like there are tools that are available out there, and there are other people like myself that have worked inside bigger firms and worked at major publishers or whatever, that understand sort of the intersection of the big business and the more independent business, and can help you try and navigate that space. So is there one place to start? No, but this is a good starting place. And there's lots of resources and information. You have to figure out what are the best things that fit your vision and what you're trying to do. Yeah.
And speaking of that and the monetization to Linda, I know, as you mentioned too, there's been a lot of talk lately in press about companies like Hypnosis and that are buying up like the big catalogs, paying like multiples of like, supposedly multiples of like 20s or whatever for big catalogs. And you were saying that what Tangy Market is aiming to do, because you're not actually, are you on the market yet, or are you about to, you're about to go on the market?
No, so we're on the market. We launched already. We'll be on the App Store and Google Play, I think, next week. So we've been in this controlled environment because, just to make sure that we have the right amount of buyers for the right amount of music. But I think it's really interesting what's been happening. It's sort of like a perfect storm where there are sellers and there are buyers of music rights. And that has, of course, been fantastic for Shakira, for Bob Dylan, and the likes. But, why can't we do this? Why can't we allow any songwriter and composer to raise money in sort of the same way, but with this bonus that they get on our platform is that they keep their rights? Because the one thing that you create that is super valuable, that, it's proven now, people pay a lot of like 10x, 15x, 20x for that, it's your music copyright. You should always, remember one thing from this talk: keep your rights. They are like long-term value. But at the same time, you need money today to be able to advance yourself, to invest in your career, to your next project, your next album, your next tour, whatever. So we're just this financing solution for you, like a more modern, instead of going to the pawn shop with your guitar or having to sign off with the Universal or some other like huge company at very unfavorable terms. So, I mean, that's what I really think that we can use the market mechanisms for a social good. Like sometimes when I use the word stock exchange or like a marketplace for music creators, they're just like, oh, no. I'm not dealing with that. I'm an artist. But at the same time, I think this is what it's also very democratic to go to the market, to go to all your fans instead of, just going to a few. Yeah.
And I mean, and you're speaking as a Swede. I was just for anybody who's a member of ECSA and having watched I can highly recommend the Björn Ulvaeus TED Talk that he just did about keeping your rights. That's a person that's not planning on. He gets asked all the time, because you can imagine how much he and Benny could make off of their copyrights, but he's very much about retaining his rights. And ECSA, for anybody who's on this call that is not a member of ECSA, ECSA is very much about protecting the rights. And I think the one of the campaigns that ECSA have been working on is the against buyouts, which will lead me to Justin in this one, where we're talking about syncs. And it's a very hot topic for ECSA when it comes to, do you have to give up your rights when you're getting into bed with TV companies and all of these things. And obviously it's moving more and more towards the American model. You're based in the US, obviously, where these kind of deals usually they want your publishing straight up for that. Could you kind of mention a little bit about with MDIIO how that works?
Yeah, for sure. Just to go back to one thing that Lisa mentioned is, me and my friends have a saying: if you want me to be stupid, pay me to be stupid, right? So it needs to be an exceptional amount of money for me to make that bad decision to give my rights away, or to sell my rights off. That's just a personal opinion. Yeah, I mean, one of the things again is, in keeping with the sort of the thematically with today, is one as a songwriter, what I would never do is take advantage of songwriters in a way that it seems like a lot of people have absolutely no problems taking advantage of them. So for us, we own no rights. We are not your publishers. we own none of your long-term income. All we do is help you connect the dots on a license. And what I think is important to understand is, and I think what a lot of, it's funny how many professional level published, seemingly high level songwriters don't even understand this fact, which is that licenses for film and TV in most cases are just licenses. You're only granting them the right to use it for that purpose. In other words, they want to license your song for a particular scene in a television show, and they're going to give you, I'm going to make this number up, $5,000 to do that. They don't own your song. You're just granting them the rights to use that song in that picture. The good thing about music licensing is you can have that exact same song and license it 1,000 times if you want for $10,000 every time. You own those rights to do that. In certain cases, more so with, I would say, companies like, again, I'm not disparaging them, companies like Fox or Disney, they will do what's called a work for hire, where they'll say, hey, we are going to give you this money. We are going to acquire the publisher rights. You can usually keep your writer's share of the income. So when there's a royalty from ASCAP or BMI, or in Europe, I don't know, maybe STIM or PRS or GEMA, you can then still collect your performance royalties as a songwriter. So what we've done at MDIIO is we've actually tried to, we're endeavoring to connect the dots between people looking to license music and people who own music, meaning songwriters, artists, composers, and doing it in a very sort of elegant manner where nobody gives up rights. You hold all of your rights forever and ever, and that's where our goal is to try and empower songwriters, create significant passive revenue, so that our goal is to have you wake up one day, get an email saying, congratulations, your song got licensed, and you had nothing to do with it besides just uploading your song to MDIIO and letting us kind of do the rest. So we want to be partners with every songwriter around the globe and help them find opportunities in that way. Because when I hear stories, here's a perfect example of a story that I just heard. And I mean, Helen, I know you're gonna cringe when you hear this. There's a young songwriter artist that I came across about, I don't know, 2 months ago, because I saw her. Strangely, I was watching a video on another artist, and she was like supporting the artist in the video. So she wasn't even the reason I was watching the video, but I was like, yeah, she's cool, but who's that? That person's really cool. And reached out to them and found out, well, they had a history in film and TV. So she sent us a link to a Samsung advertisement that she had her song in. And again, I think sometimes a lot of songwriters think, oh, it's a bit of a sellout. No, it's not. It's a platform. If you get a great look in a film and TV, in a sync spot, use that as a platform. It's no different than TikTok. It's no different than Instagram or being discovered or Triller. It's a new way for your voice to be heard. Anyway, long story short, in my experience as a songwriter and as a record producer and having licensed my music to tech brands like that, I know that the value of that license was probably about $150,000 US. She was paid $750 as a buyout, all of her rights. And I literally wanted to cry for her. That is exactly what we're trying to stop happening. And the problem is, and I'm going to say it, I'm a songwriter, so I'm going to proudly say this out loud, which is nobody, Josh is a composer. I guarantee you, Josh will attest to this. We did not start writing music for the riches and fame that we anticipated were going to come. We started writing music because there was no choice. It was in our blood. We had to do these things. And the problem is that there are ne'er-do-wells out there that understand that. And so they're willing to take advantage of you because they know that the validation of your acceptance to us is more valuable than the monetary compensation that comes along with it. And I think that generally is what we are all trying to accomplish, bypassing and treating ourselves with the respect that we should be treating ourselves with, because they do need us and we need them. It's a coexistent, symbiotic relationship. That's my TED Talk.
Thank you. Yeah, you won't have any arguments against that. Not from us and not from ECSA. That's for
I
sure.
get super passionate about this stuff, so you know.
I mean, those buyout stories. I think what we're trying to do with ECSA too is that when everyone can share their stories, and we have, for example, we've had at the Ivors Academy some very big songwriters and composers standing up in meetings and saying, actually, we had a meeting where we had the Netflix, we had BBC, we had Sky, which is like one of the main broadcasters, and Sky in particular was kind of saying what they thought, composers should get. And one of the composers stood up, a very big composer, and said, no, I don't think that that's correct. It's like, actually, I've seen the back end, what you can make on the back end. And it's like, I think you missed a zero on that. So to kind of share stories and see, because clearly this poor girl thought that this was like a normal thing. She didn't understand maybe that what you can make in the back end of
no, on the front end. On the front end,
or even on the front
actual
end for that matter. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're not going to have a back end, you have to have a pretty massive front end. That's the whole thing.
Like you say, if you want me to be stupid, you have to pay me to be stupid, to make bad decisions. And I felt for her, and I'm trying to guide her. And she feels a little bit like an abused dog, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way at all. But like sometimes if there's a dog that's been abused, they're quite shy, they're quite timid, they're quite scared. They don't understand what's about to happen because they can't understand kindness. And so she does get it now. We've actually started doing our songwriting camps that she's been a part of, and she's like, oh, I get it now. This is what collaboration is supposed to be like. This is what support is supposed to feel like. And so that's the other thing I was going to say really quick, as I kind of mentioned to everybody on this call. We have our first MDIIO songwriting camp, global camp, next week. Starting tomorrow. We could slot a couple people in if you felt like you wanted to participate. I put my email in. I'll put it again. If you hit me up, we'll see if we can slot you in. We'd love to see you there. And we're going to be doing these monthly. So, if you join and you become a member, you get all of this stuff included. So we would love to see you there. We want to empower everybody. There's what a lot of people also don't realize, and I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox in a moment here, which is there is lots of opportunity for everybody. Lots of opportunity for everybody. And it's not a matter of, well, if I didn't get it, so you can't have it. Trust me, there's opportunity for everybody at every level, and plenty of it. And I think we would all agree. I'm gonna not name things here just in case people. But there's a lot of companies out there that I would rather take those opportunities from them to give it to you guys, and keep it friendly and find ways to help you survive. I know hit songwriter friends that were driving Ubers. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
I'll stop now.
Can I just, I just want to jump in on something Justin said, just interestingly, just knowing the audience of who's participating too. Because I think, that one of the things is I'm entirely in agreement that work for hire is a borderline slavery mechanism. But the thing that we do have to consider is that, these production companies are sitting on production budgets, and they're trying to make as much as they can for the least amount of money possible. That's totally understandable, but the reality is they understand they have to pay for licenses. For you, if you're at a certain stage of your journey, there is other things that you can ask for besides just capital, right? And inside these things, and in particular to Justin's point about making this a platform for yourself. Like if you have new material coming, if you have something that you're going to be releasing something commercially for yourself on the artist side, or that record gets an additional placement, asking for them to put a little bit more support behind social against the song or whatever, that's going to push that through a different channel for you, that could be another revenue channel, could also be something, instead of just waiting for the largest payday that's possible to come through and then them potentially walking away. So I think
sometimes it's even a chyron on the screen.
Right.
It's even something, just an acknowledgement of who you are, so that that either when people are going to Shazam it, or they can go to your social handles, they can find you. I totally agree. And so it costs them nothing, right?
Yeah, it's a
great segue to Carlotta, actually, because we're talking about identification and everything. And so with what you're doing with Creative Passport, is there is there a way that what you're doing, how could that kind of lead to monetization, and what can what you're doing help in what Justin and Josh were just talking about?
Well, obviously, there can be assets, weight on monetizing. Media seems amazing, and also all the other platforms. But then obviously you need to know who to pay. So that is the basis of everything. And obviously who to pay right now is defined by different identifiers and different ways to verify each other's identity. And one thing is knowing that the right person is the right person. Another thing is knowing that the right person has got the right attribution. So clearly in here, we've got some sort of two issues that we've got institutions from the industry taking care of that. But then ultimately, it's very interesting to understand how to monetize right here, right now, assets and compositions, and having, it's kind of both Josh and Justin were saying, passive income. What we are envisioning with the Creative Passport is what about all the rest of the data? What about the new income streams that might be not really related to the rights and the exploitation of music and works? And this is why we do think that information and data and ensuring that music makers have a control and ownership of their own information is going to fundamental moving forward. And I can give you, for instance, just to play around with ideas, quite an interesting example of something that is not possible to happen right now, but we envision something that it could be possible, having a tool like the Creative Passport developed with so much information, so much, in this case, songwriters in. So you can easily imagine maybe an app that provides to users, as kind of discoverability functions based on maps and where people are, based on where songs were written. So you're just opening this app, you are in a new city, you're in Copenhagen, you're in London, you are literally everywhere. And you might discover that a song was written in that cafe that you are currently, having a coffee. So you would discover the new song, you would discover a new artist would get a new fan potentially, or just in a fun way, having a new way to discover music that is, for instance, location based. So in this case, this is quite some basic, if you like, technology. Technology is there, nothing crazy. You miss the data.
I think the thing with data, and which is always the thing, and this kind of refers to I guess most of the panelists, certainly with MDIIO too, is that, and with Creative Passport, it's about the connection though, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, the thing is, the fact is we do get paid by CMOs, we do get paid by PROs. We, no matter how much we might have some criticism of some of them or how they do it and whatever, this is a structure that we're operating under in many instances, and the problem is that those connections do not exist. Even if you had your identification on you, where does that actually lead? Is this also, I mean, with Justin, is this something when it comes to metadata that MDIIO, because this is something that we have discussed. We had DDEX been operating for ages, and it seems like it's like just, I mean, when is it actually gonna, like, how are we gonna connect all these cables into the engine in the cars?
I think there's something that's important to understand here, which is there's a benefit for gigantic rights holders to have chaos in the system, right? There is a benefit for them to not have perfect information. So guess what? They get to hold on to that money for an extra 6 months, right? So as much as we at our level want to solve this problem, right? It's a hard problem to solve because we're always getting pushed up against resistance. Even though in the public, that's not what they're purporting to support. Do you know what I'm saying? But one of the things you have to remember is when you take out every songwriter signed to a publishing company, you take out every record artist signed to a record label, right? Like, in other words, let's remove the top 1%. You literally have 99% of people that make music that are actually the lifeblood of music, right? So they might not be the economy, but that's why we're trying to help. This is not the right word, but this is why we're trying to help professionalize and create economy for that other 99%. And so, yes, to answer your question, what we're trying to do at MDIIO is if we have a singular point of truth for all of that data, right? Beyond metadata, ISRC codes, ISWC codes, whatever. By the way, it's absurd that a PRO doesn't store audio files. Let's just start that. Mind-blowing. Makes no sense where a songwriter can't go to their PRS portal, Gamma portal, whatever, and actually listen to the songs that are registered. Makes no sense, right? So the idea for us is how do we consolidate the process of aggregating all of this data? By the way, let's imagine a moment where the 5 of us have collaborated on a song together, right? Today, right? Carlotta has to register her info. Helienne, everybody registers their own info independently. What we're trying to do at MDIIO is we're trying to help break that method and repair it in a manner that, well, I can upload the song. Linda could add the lyrics. Maybe Carlotta adds some metadata. Maybe Josh updates the metadata, right? Maybe where we all co-share, 5 people co-share the information around this copyright. Guess what happens? It's 5 less opportunities for that data to go bad somewhere. And again, I'm going to reiterate this. It is a huge benefit for everybody that is a payer to have inaccurate data. Because if they have inaccurate data, they're not going to pay. Why aren't they going to pay? Like, why won't a PRO pay if they have 3 writers and for some reason the copyright adds up to 100.03%? They don't pay it because they want to make sure that someone goes, wait, I had the extra, 0.1%.
Yeah.
So they don't pay it because they don't want to risk the liability of paying the wrong person the wrong amount. So they just don't do it. They say, you guys figure this shit out and then we'll pay out, right? So again, I'm just going to go back to what I said. There's a huge advantage for major music companies, by the way, including Spotify, including YouTube, including record labels, music publishers, to have chaos in the system.
We always, to quote, I usually quote Chris Castle, where he said, the only thing that the major labels are more scared of than piracy is accuracy.
True.
And
Yeah, but
of course,
sad but true.
Sorry.
Sad but true.
But true. I mean, there are a lot of great people at major labels.
But Josh, you were about to say something, Josh.
But
I was just going to say that, it's an interesting challenge because the same people that we want, these are the same firms that we want to invest in building the data architecture, the data infrastructure, to do it because they're the only ones with the capital to really justify it. So it's whether we're talking about, just the actual, ecosystems, we're going to the PROs asking for them, to invest in, better data ecosystems, and obviously CSAC's, championing the ISWC, thing till the end, but people are sort of slow to adapt, but the reality is, to Justin's point, that some of that material in that black box being carried an extra 6 or 12 months, being invested and some of the financial returns that come with the interest that's acquired from that money.
Yeah, billions,
helps
right?
The business run. So it is always important to understand just the motivations of the different parties that are involved in this exercise to get to it. But that obviously gets pretty macro in comparison to the independent songwriter, and what you can be doing yourself.
I think that we're kind of getting a bit, because these are all the different campaigns that ECSA do champion. And one of the things, obviously, also the reason for it is if you don't have the metadata, it's divided according to market share, which we know who that's going to benefit. But I'm trying to kind of then move back into how we can kind of like practically use these platforms. So back to Linda. On your, since this is kind of like, it sounds a little bit kind of like that old kind of thing, slice the pie, or these kind of companies that existed in that sense. Now, people putting their music on it, like what, you know, what's the process of discoverability really on it? And then secondly, what kind of cut does Tangy Market plan to take out of this? What is the business model?
Yeah, I think it's very important to, I've been in the music industry all my professional life. So I've been hearing this dichotomy forever, you know, like the evil big ones and the struggling artists. And sometimes that's not a very productive way of seeing things. And I think it's, you know, the most sustainable way forward is the win-win-win model, like where all stakeholders actually win out of the partnership. And also one observation that I've made, like a lot of the innovation that has happened in the music industry has been about, you know, how to divide the pie. When Spotify came, it's like, okay, we're moving from CD to streaming, and like it's all about songwriters, composers are getting too little, artists are getting too much, you know, how are we going to divide the pie? Our challenge that we're working with is, how are we going to make the pie grow so it will be more, like increase the value so there's more for everybody? And for us doing that, of course, we're going to take a cut so we can pay the rent and maybe one day eventually hopefully have salaries for everyone who works for us. So our revenue model is that we take a cut out of every transaction that benefits the actors. We take our little share. So we take 2% whenever there's a buy or a sell share in the market. And now, as we launch just, you know, very recently, we're offering our service for free for songwriters. I mean, that's where it all begins for us. We're doing this for you. So, but eventually you're going to have to pay us a share for us to provide, you know, faster funds, empowerment, and all that. And I think this is very important to be transparent about. There's never free lunch. Like when you see these huge tech companies that are doing something for free, it's not. A lot of the time, what they make money out of is your data. I think it's more clean to just, you know, we provide a service, we take a fee for that. And just to be super transparent about this.
Do you know what,
Yes.
have you set your fee rate yet?
We're going to start out with 7%. And that's because we've researched the competition and we're in the middle of it. And we're starting out from there and we'll see, you know, where to go from there. But it's also how we set the fee 7% for songwriters to be on the platform was because then the users and the songwriters will contribute equally to our revenue. So 2% on every transaction in the market and 7% from the songwriters. That's where we have the equilibrium. I'm a Libra, by the way, so I just love, you know, when everything's in balance. That's what I like.
Great, thank you. And
I
then
throw it in there, Carlotta, because it's so fun. I remember when Imogen and your team were in Stockholm. Was it 2 or 3 years ago?
It was part of the tour, yeah.
Yes, and now it's like so advanced and you've come so far. I just love seeing that, and I really believe in the idea. It's super important.
Yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, it's like, and so as part of the tour that we did, and probably it was as part of one of the workshop, meeting all local entrepreneurs as well and hearing about the new ideas and new services. So same for you, Linda. It's like amazing knowing that you managed to, you know, put an idea out to fruition and actually having a service out of it. That's great.
So Carlotta, because I'm going to go to you and then Justin on this. So what is your business model? Like because obviously, you know, there needs to be funding to have this, and how are you envisioning that you know, at the moment, I assume that it's all investment, but
Yeah, so obviously following on what Linda was saying, free is not good, because free services do shady things with your data, and that is absolutely true. Having said that, clearly, as I was saying before, right now the Creative Passport, as we are a not-for-profit, we really want to keep it free for music makers, because it's an open beta and there is a lot of work that still needs to, be happening. With what regards current funding, we do not have any investors or venture capitalists behind. We based all our development out of philanthropic donations, most of the donation also coming from our founder Imogen, HIP, as well as public grants. So the first grant that kicked us off was from a Finnish government organization named Citra a couple of years ago. And recently we got one out of an Amsterdam, an organization in the Netherlands. So obviously we have got quite a small and agile team. And right now, our aim is we need to have as much users as possible. We need to really do a lot of integrations and beta and kind of trials. So we do not want the music makers to pay. Obviously, moving forward, we will probably also charge a very little subscription, because we do have operational costs and we do want to keep the data safe. The only thing that we think is interesting, that kind of links to what I was saying before about what can be other income streams and monetization of data in the future, we are actually pro data monetization, as long as it is made in a fair way, in a transparent way, and absolutely based on user consent and opt-in. So we want to monetize our users' information. We want them to earn, money, and we want businesses to pay to access this verified information, as long as it's given the consent and everything is transparent. So ultimately, our goal, since we are a not-for-profit, it would be our main business, it would be B2B monetization, whether providing verification services, providing verified credentials or identifiers or government identity as linked to verified profile information that the music services either curate internally or have to pay to access from unverified source. So we go back at empowering the artists being in control of their own information and also making some money out of it. So that is kind of what our long-term plan is.
Right.
Are you sure that big corporations sell data? Because the other day I was talking about getting in shape, and suddenly 3 treadmills showed up at my front door. So I'm not so sure that they're listening.
Well,
I don't know.
As Carlotta says, I wish that Facebook and Google would give us an option to either pay or them using all our data.
Or sharing the income. Potentially,
well,
that wouldn't be bad.
They say that they are with YouTube, aren't they? But there's always somebody benefiting a bit more. But Justin,
yeah,
what is your business model? How are you gonna take a share of a?
Yeah, pretty much just firstborn and a liter of blood every month. It's pretty cheap. What? So look, I never ever in my experience as a quote unquote tech entrepreneur, I've never taken my songwriter hat off, meaning that I've never wanted to create a for-profit company that feels like it's another hand in a songwriter's pocket. I hate this idea, right? And so when I say we're giving it away for free, we're basically giving it away for free for 6 months. We want everybody to come and use it. We want to get people, and in 6 months, if you don't see a value, guess what? You still get to keep your music on our platform. Just the monetization changes. So we want to give you such an incredible customer experience or user experience. I actually hate the term user, more like a member experience. We want to give you such a great experience that your modicum of success is not based on a single event within MDIIO. In other words, if you go, I didn't get any placements, this sucks, I'm out of here, right? Like we don't want your experience to be wholly based on a single verifiable point of success. So we're saying, hey, We're going to introduce you to songwriters around the globe. We're going to create and curate songwriting camps so that you can collaborate with professional level songwriters, get your music better. We're going to actually, you know, Carlotta, you'll probably really appreciate this. We're going to give you back tons of data to say, hey, guess what, you guys? Every month you're going to get a report. We've come up with a cute name, Tracktivity Report, which is basically an activity of all of your track activity for the month. So we're going to say, hey, these are the songs that were most discovered. These are the songs that were most playlisted. These are the songs that were most downloaded. These were your songs that were most streamed. Here is an aggregate of the most searched tags of how you were discovered. Here is also, by the way, across the whole platform, here is the most searched tags. So, you know, and also giving you information, for example, we're coming into June, right? To say, hey, guess what, everybody? You're not going to believe it, but start writing your Christmas songs now, because we're going to start people are going to start looking to license Christmas music starting in July, right? So we want to actually empower and create. We spent literally millions of dollars building a platform with no income because we're trying to just empower a community of songwriters. Now, having said that, I'm not trying to bounce off of it. If we create a transaction for you, in other words, if a song comes in and gets licensed, we take 20% of that transaction fee. That is in line with what any manager would get paid. It's cheaper than what any publisher would charge. It is way cheaper than other library companies that are taking 50% of a placement, and also with no long term. So if we license something for you for $100, we take our $20. And if you make $1 million in performance royalties, that's yours. We don't take that. We're not asking you to retitle songs, also not a supporter of, right? It's just about what transaction can we create for you. We're going to take our little stipend. You're going to get paid the rest of it. And we all shake hands and high five and go, we did it. It made sense. It worked. One of the things that we're doing, just so you guys also understand, is part of Hyper Audio is we are working on blanket licensing agreements with major power licensees that are going to come in and do thousands of searches a month through Hyper Audio. Our goal is to connect you with those opportunities. And also, by the way, in that 20% includes us facilitating the license for you, adminning that license, creating all of that paperwork. So, you know, when you look at it, it's actually, if anybody's had experience with licensing, it's actually quite cheap compared to any sort of traditional way that it would be done. So yeah, our goal is just to send you money every month.
I think it's super interesting, like the group all, you know, really trying to defend super, you know, low fees for these like pretty robust service propositions that are being presented. Like in the end, I also want to encourage, like, you know, there is something to be said for the tech platform or, you know, the service provider or whatever that you're working with, receiving a sustainable fee for what they're doing for you. If they have the capital to invest in the infrastructure and to invest in the people and, you know, whatever it might be to help your product move, in some cases, that's a very good thing for yours versus, you know, somebody else that might be working on really scrappy fees because they're trying to, you know, do what's best for your music. There's options out there that are for everybody. But the reality is, in some cases, you know, the 20% fee or the 25% fee, if it gets you that much more exposure because they have the infrastructure and the scale to be able to deliver that, maybe that's, you know, a worthwhile investment.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and also we want to try and create as passive revenue opportunities as possible. So let's say somebody discovers Josh. They love Josh's, you know, they love Josh's work. They can actually subscribe to follow Josh. Not possible, yeah, I'm sure. But let's say someone goes, I love what he does. I want to subscribe to him. So every time Josh uploads a new song to MDIIO and Hyper Audio, they'll get a notification saying, hey, this artist who you're a really big fan of just uploaded new music. Check it out here, license it here. So the whole idea is to help create a fan base and immediately be licensable the minute that song is uploaded to our platform. Again, how do we create significant passive revenue streams for artists? And again, going back to it, if you make hip hop beats, you can license that same beat 1,000 times for $1,000. You can literally do that. That's $1 million for you. Like, I know that's extreme, but you get the point.
Unless you give it to or sell it to Epidemic, then you get an upfront payment and you never see any more money from that.
Correct.
But what I was gonna say is, I mean, what it is fantastic too is that with, since this is about tech and opportunities, it's breaking down borders. So whereas it used to be that you get syncs in your territory where you live, where your publisher has contacts. With an online platform, and this goes obviously for Tangy Market as well, it's like you're actually becoming, you're breaking down the borders, and you can get a sync, even if you're based in Sweden, you can get a sync in Germany. If you're in America, you can get a sync in Sweden. All of these borders. It's all about kind of expanding your opportunities. Do we have anybody, like, nobody's, we must be covering everything so well that nobody has any questions in the Q&A box, unless I saw John raising his hand, but he hasn't posted any questions about it. I think, well, so to kind of go back, because I know we got sidetracked with Linda, or in your question, I was curious about the discoverability on your platform. Like, how does that work? Because I know we will kind of also look at, Justin, because you got AI on the MDIIO platform. What about you on the Tangy Market?
Yeah, so we have users from 25 different countries already. So, putting your music on the platform for sure brings you faster cash, but also opens up for a broader reach. You can, get into new segments that may find new listeners and new fans. So, yeah. And as we expand, the more music on the platform, the more people we can reach. So we're in it together.
Great.
If that answers your question.
I mean, I kind of love what you're doing. It's if I was going to really simplify it, it feels like Robin Hood, but for music.
Sometimes I use that metaphor. But kinder and smarter.
Yeah. Robin Hood is really kind.
Well, it depends if you bought GameStop.
Yeah,
or not.
So Justin, the AI segment or part of MDIIO, what is that? Is that the discoverability for the music supervisors? What is the
it's basically taking advantage of all the aspects of music. So the simplest AI use case for what we're doing, really primarily through hyper audio, is every time, let's start backwards. Every time you upload a song to MDIIO, that song is immediately analyzed with over 10,000 different attributes. So it's obviously things like genre, tag, BPM, gender, those sorts of things. But it's also things like emotional quotient. So you can look at the dynamic emotional analysis, the arc of the song, the mood analysis of that song. Is a song dark? Is a song light? Is a song happy? Is a song sad? Is a song, And then what we do is we take all of that data and we, imagine creating a histogram, right? Like, in other words, a chart of that data. So let's say, for example, someone's going, hey, I need to find something like the Beastie Boys Sabotage, but they can't pay for the Beastie Boys Sabotage, right? So that song is analyzed also. And we then take the data from Beastie Boys Sabotage, we match it against all of the data that we have in our platform, and then it says, hey, here is 1, 2, 10, 150 songs that match what you're looking for in order of priority. So the songs at the top of the list might be the most closely matched, where let's say the song at the bottom of the list might just be male hip hop or whatever, right? But let's say you're then a music supervisor and you listen to the first one, that's pretty good. Second one's pretty good. Oh, but the third one, that's the one. That's the one I really love. You can actually create what's called a smart playlist, where it will then auto-generate a whole new search, no longer based on the Beastie Boys, but based on actually this new song that you've now determined is the new benchmark. And then that you immediately create, and you can actually see on the platform the histograms. You can actually see how closely they match each other right in platform to know. So you can actually almost visually determine before listening how accurate the match is going to be. We're getting an incredible amount of, like, we're seeing that the matches are very, very close, and it's leading to real life licensing. So we're actually formally launching Hyper Audio, hopefully in the next couple of months. So yeah, anybody here, jump on board as a member, and your music's going to be sort of at the top of that list. But that's kind of how the AI works in terms of leveraging data. And again, like I said, hey, for example, let's use Josh, right? Like, people that searched for Beastie Boys Sabotage found your music, right? Like, really giving real information back to songwriters, help them get better, help small publishers get better, help add and increase value into their copyrights, so that when they put it up on Tangy Marketplace, there's more value to them, right? That's kind of the idea there. So I hope that answers your question. Sorry guys, I get really impassioned by it, because if I'm just going to be totally and completely blunt, I'm sick of songwriters getting fucked, and we're trying to help unfuck songwriters. That's about the best way that I could put it. By the way, Carlotta, I love your jacket. I just wanted to put that out there for a minute.
Yeah.
Applaud on the Hyper Audio piece of the puzzle. Like, I've been quite close with the guys at Ames and Sing Floor and some of the stuff they've been doing for a while. And obviously some of this technology has existed, but the reality is it's only been in service of like major catalogs, right? So like for an independent artist or songwriter or composer to have access to load into the same system and be able to analyze their material and then be provided to a same level. I mean, there are supervisors out there that would prefer not to work with giant catalogs. They'd prefer
I'll tell you,
straight to the source. And so to have a platform like this is great.
Well, and here's a bit of insider information. Music supervisors love finding a completely unknown artist from, I don't know, Copenhagen, who has never had a sync, and give them that first check. Like, they actually love that shit.
No, it's social currency.
It 100%. Like it's just so that you guys know, it's really easy to go and license a Bruno Mars song, like, or the Rolling Stones. Like, that's not hard. What they love finding is, I just found this incredible rock band from the Czech Republic, and I'm going to put them in this really cool show, and I'm going to give them a check for $25,000, and that's going to be awesome. And what's also important to know is, they might find that Czech rock band 3 years ago and only have a spot for it now. That's how they work. And so, put music up, release it, put it on MIDIO, have it on Hyper Audio. You don't know if it's today or tomorrow in 3 years where you're going to get licensed. Josh, sorry.
But back to Helienne's point, so long as that song doesn't have 20 writers and that the points don't add up to 124 and that they're registered in 14 different places. So
because if you can make it 100% clear, and that's the other thing with what we're doing with Hyper Audios, they know that they can come in and license that song frictionless. Let's remove all of the barriers to business and make everybody's life easier. So anyway, I'll stop.
That's the thing, is like knowing that it's cleared, because knowing music supervisors is one of the biggest obstacles, and the thing that they always ask for, because there's no point in liking a song and then you have to go and clear it between like 3, 4, 5 writers. So that's a real advantage there. Benjamin said, our project sounded really good, but where's the catch? I think the key here is that every single platform is where have been created because it's something that was missing, that if you're a creator yourself, what you were missing. I know with Imogen, she found that she created Creative Passport because it was something that she really, really wanted herself. And same thing with Justin and with Linda as well. And I think there's a certain synergy here where I think all different platforms can actually work with each other and pipe into each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When it comes to both metadata feeding in and business opportunities that feed both ways.
And there is also something, just to kind of close off, is that also as part of Imogen's discovery, is that there are so many services out there doing amazing things. How can music makers find about them? So there is also something that we really want to help businesses find the audience. If the Creative Passport potentially is integrated, offering a sign-up option and kind of sharing information, with all sorts of services. So that it's like, if we've got music makers or a composer saying, actually, I really want to see if there's another service that allows me to license music in an easier way. They can find it, boom, and they can sign up with a click of a button and start to use it immediately. So that is the kind of the beauty of what we would really like to do. Is like building bridges so that to help new startups, as well as giving knowledge also to music makers. So there is something, integration, all about integration.
Can I be blunt for a moment? Songwriters and creators, and I'm one of them. So I'm putting my hand up as the first person to take the bullet here. We're lazy. What we love to do is we love to write songs. We love the creative process, right? We're creative people, but we're lazy, right? Like imagine, I'm going to completely take it out of context for a moment. Like imagine the biggest TikTok influencer, right? But they never actually do the work of learning the dance and posting it on TikTok. They don't build their fan base. They don't build their audience. Songwriters innately and creators are lazy. And so what we need to learn how to do is take business into our own hands and actually use the tools. You can write the song. Do you know how many Stairway to Heavens there are that we never heard? Do you know how many Uptown Funks there are that we never heard? Because songwriters or creators just didn't take that next step to ensure their success, to take the initiative in their business. And that's the biggest problem. And again, I'm going to go back to one thing we said super early. That's why songwriters are always getting screwed, because they don't have their business in order. And it's hard. It's really hard, because the fun part is making the music most of the time. The pain in the ass is all of the stuff that goes along with it. And again, I'm going to look at this in context. An artist takes 2 months to make a record, right? They take 2 months to build a record. They spend 2 years marketing that record. It's the exact same concept. You're going to spend 8 hours making a song. You need to spend 10 times that, 20 times that amount doing the business and support of making sure that people hear that song and get out there. Successful songwriters, only the fact that they can write good songs, that's a small component. How are they networking? How are they meeting people? How many songs that get through, that get on the radio, are there that didn't get through? To understand that 90 of 100 songs get zero monetization for Max Martin. Well, Max Martin's maybe different, right? But the idea is, as you're growing, you have to be on top of your shit. And songwriters are not. I'm saying I'm one of them. That's why I built MDIIO, because I wanted to be more on top of my shit. The more songs we write, song creation is exponential. You're going to write more songs next year and more songs the year after and more songs the year after. That doesn't mean that what I did 2 years ago is not relevant anymore. You just have to use these tools to stay on top of your game and generate your revenue. That's it. This is your business.
Yeah, it's called the music business. Obviously, I think that everyone that has tuned into this, to kind of wrap this up, are people that are very, very hungry to take control of the business part and try to find a way to make a good workflow, have a good workflow for everything that they work out, which I assume I'm taking the words out of Josh's mouth, I'm sure, that, this is kind of like the key to kind of circle back to how we started. The key is to create a good workflow where you can actually, you have every work that you do, you upload it to MDIIO, you fill out your information with the creative passport, and then you can put it on Tangy Market after that to see if there's some people who want to invest in it. We are actually drawing to a close, and Alessandra is back on camera. Thank you all so much. It's been really, really valuable. And I'm sure what ECSA will do is to relay. I know we had the chat where everybody put their email addresses and all of that, but I'm sure that ECSA can also kind of relay that again for those who didn't manage to jot that down. And same thing with the freebie that Justin just gave to everyone attending, where they can put in composer. See, even I can remember that. That's a really easy, streamlined thing there as a promo code when they go to MDIIO.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you everyone that attended. Thanks to all the attendees that took the time to actually follow this discussion. I hope you will be able to build on everything that was shared and all these fantastic initiatives. Thanks again to all our panelists for taking the time to be with us today and share about your platforms, share about your experiences and backgrounds. I think it was very useful and very insightful. And thanks again to the Creative Europe program from the European Commission for helping ECSA make this happen, make this webinar happen. Next week we have 2 more events coming up with the European Film Music Day. We have a panel on buyouts, the issue of buyouts, and we have a panel on video games, composing for video games that is coming up. So if anyone is interested, please join us next week. If not, I say goodbye and have a great weekend, and I hope I'll get to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.